So you can see in this session, every time the dog walks out ahead of my knee, I turn around and walk the other way. So I start with those 180s. I'm being really mindful that as soon as the dog's nose is passing my knee and walking out away from me, I'm turning around and walking the other way while pressing and holding on the red button on the dog's nice low working level for the environment. You can see a runner across the street getting the dog distracted. In a moment, you're going to notice that I'm dialing up on the e-collar. And I'm going to keep dialing up as I need to get the dog to start cooperating with me again. You can see a little vocalization there when I found a really meaningful e-collar level. And now almost immediately after, you see that he's much more attuned to me, dialed into me, and staying with me rather than focused on that trigger or distraction. So we just stay in these 180s until they're feeling nice and easy. And I am using the e-collar layered over that leash pressure to keep the dog on one side of me, as you can see. So now I'm going to start doing the cutoffs, because now he's staying with me, but he's taking up the space next to me. So we need to layer the e-collar over my spatial pressure or my body pressure. And just every time I turn into the dog, I'm going to press and hold or tap, tap, tap. Now going into figure eights, which is where on one end I turn away from the dog like a 180, and then on the other end I cut off the dog. So you can see I'm doing a nice figure eight on this section of the sidewalk. Now I introduce that back pedal after the figure eight's looking really nice. And just every time I back up, I tap, tap, tap until the dog is back behind me. And then I start doing it all together. I do a figure eight. Go back pedal. And so for the duration of the dog's walk, this is what we're doing. We're setting a timer, not a destination. Just working with whatever the lowest distraction environment is outside of the house, right outside the front of the house. Not really planning to go anywhere, just really focused on keeping the dog nice and dialed in. As triggers come by and go by, just working through that. But the real priority here is to build this nice follow the leader where the dog is hanging back just slightly behind you, not in the space immediately next to you. So you can always cut them off, take that space up. You can back up, they move with you. And overall, you really increase the general handler awareness that the dog has, or also known as their respective follow state of mind. Follow the leader. You can see he's kind of hanging back. Anytime I feel leash pressure where he's hanging back too far, I'm going to tap, tap, tap on the e-collar or press and hold on the red button. And you can see it's starting to shape up really nicely. Where he's just nice following behind me. He's really aware of things going on around us. But he's really deferent to me. He's really aware of me. He's staying with me. And I'm not needing to muscle him around. I can't stress that enough. I'm not really needing to use the leash as much as I'm just using the e-collar and my body, either turning away from him or into him or backing up to keep him with me and to keep him focused on me. If it feels like you're muscling the dog around and using a lot of leash pressure, you'll want to add 2 or 3 levels to your e-collar until you find a level on the e-collar that motivates them to just move with the leash. The leash is really there just to show them what to do with the e-collar pressure, not to pull them around or keep them in place. That's a different exercise for later in this week. But this exercise is really about allowing the dog to have that space to make choices with it and to give him feedback. So if he pushes up ahead of me, he gets cut off. If he gets too distracted, I might backpedal. Overall, I'll be practicing figure eights and just keeping him in this nice follow mindset on one side or the other, not allowing him to choose. Anytime he tries to switch from one side to the other without permission, you can see I'm turning that leash pressure on and holding the leash on one side until he gets back to that side. And this is the whole session. And anytime you do need to make physical contact with the dog like I am here, you can hear me dialing up on the sound box. I'm dialing up on the e-collar to make my physical presence and my physical pressure much more relevant to the dog. If I have to bump into the dog, it means they're not paying attention to me enough. And we want to make that a bigger priority, and we do that by adding a couple levels on the e-collar. It's up to your dog to stay out of your way. It's not up to you to muscle them around, to bump into them and push them around. You can see now, after we had that little conversation, he's much more mindful of when I'm turning, that he just waits and holds back and waits to see where I'm going, and then he follows me. And you can see now he's hanging back much farther than he was originally. Because now he's much more mindful of that space next to me being space that I could take at any moment, and space therefore he should not be in. See, he's got that nice hanging back from me by about a foot. When he starts to pause too far back, e-collar pressure turns on, a little prong pop might happen. But as long as he stays just far enough behind me and he doesn't move forward past my knee, all of the pressure will stay off on both the leash and the e-collar, which is what teaches him where he's supposed to be and builds that follower state of mind. You can see he's really focused on where I'm going in these turns because he doesn't know where I'm going to go and he doesn't want to feel any pressure. So he just holds off, he lets me maneuver, and then he follows me. And that's what it should look like for you, that your dog just follows you around in this really nice, even-paced, seamless kind of flow state where you're really moving together as a pack. When your dog is this dialed in, this is follow the leader. This is a follower state of mind. This is your dog tapping into that pack migration mode where they're like, okay, where is my leader taking us? And I'm just going to follow them. This is really what you want to work on. You can see before I ever crossed the street, I spent almost 10 minutes dialing him in just in front of in front of his house to make sure I had that follow the leader going before we added any more distance. So that's why in week 1, it's going to be of particular importance that you do not set a destination. I don't want anyone to plan to go anywhere. There's no brownie points or extra credit for getting 2 miles away from your house. I want everyone to focus on just getting this right outside in your front yards, right in front of your house on the sidewalks, right across the street, right up the street, just in your immediate vicinity, so that we can spend this much time in each section being really mindful of our dog's state of mind, their position on the walk, and taking the time to get it right. Once it starts feeling nice and easy, right, that's when we cross the street. That's when we add maybe another block or half a block. But again, along the way, I'm going to be really mindful of my dog's mindset and their position, so that as I need to stop and reset them, I can do that. Again, this week is about setting a timer, not a destination. Really focus on getting that nice follower state of mind. And when we do stop, we're looking for some nice, authentic eye contact. Just like that. And we go right back into it. So you'll spend your 20 or 30-minute walks for the next week just doing this leash work with the low-level e-collar layered over your leash pressure, layered over your spatial or body pressure, using little to no verbal instruction. You say, let's go once or twice, and then you get moving.